Literally, time will tell me in about 3 minutes if something has gone awry or wrong. Let's just pull this up on the TV real quick so you can see what's going on. And oop, wrong button. That was funny.
This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Okayest Hunter podcast, coming at you from Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, here in the Okayest Hunter podcast studio, brought to you and presented by none other than Spartan Forge, the deer movement, mapping, predictability, enhancement of your deer hunting application.
To make your life better application.
Yeah. Their slope, what is he calling it? I always forget. I'm the worst. I don't know why he pays us. The slope gradient thing now?
Where it highlights it and shows you all those different super steep, which probably would be awesome for the area our guest hunts more so than
I tried it when I was in Montana.
Was it pretty
I was
sweet?
texting Bill to be like, hey, how do I see this? And then I was describing it incorrectly to him, and he's like, what are you trying to do? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm trying to do the 3D thing, man.
The okayest describer.
Like, what's happening here? And whatever, I got it to work. And it's interesting because it is better quality imagery. You got the deer movement predictability piece, which is like rooted in like empirical data. So it's stronger than what you're going to find elsewhere. But then the slope gradient terrain thing now with the like, you see your Fred Bear drawing back there with your topo lines.
Topo lines?
It's down to like 5 feet.
That's insane.
I don't know any other app that can give you that.
No.
And then as you navigate like virtually or digitally the curvature of a slope, you're kind of like putting yourself in the woods a little bit. It's taken it about, I think, as far as, maybe I'm wrong because I'm sure he's got more up his sleeve, but so far it's the farthest you can go without getting in the woods on a e-scouting app.
It's giving you like pretty much as close as you can possibly get to seeing exactly what that terrain lays out like without actually having your boots on.
Yeah. You're basically in a drone flying around. Like you can see deer in fields. It's pretty wild.
We got my kid got a drone for Christmas.
Oh, so you're playing with it?
Well, no, he had to show me how to do it. I was like, let me try it out first, son. I'll take care of this. It was like a 14-plus-year-old thing.
I'm like, oh
my God,
and he's 5.
5 and a half.
Yeah.
But he is pretty clever. And I couldn't get that thing to do what it was supposed to. He's like, Dad, let me try it.
And he got it?
Yeah. He did pretty good. He did pretty good.
Great.
One tree took a hit. But.
All right. What else we got going on here? Vector Custom Shop. I don't know what else to say about those guys right now other than just keep your eye on them because they have some big plans. They want us to come to Texas to do a hog hunt with them this next year.
Let's go.
I gotta talk to Isaac because I forget when he said it was, per usual, because I can't remember anything. But I think it's pretty doable if we wanted to go.
And if anybody if you've not actually looked at Vector, you've heard anybody talk about them, follow them on Instagram because all they post is just reposts of people blowing through huge animals with these arrows and their broadhead setups and first class, first time experience. We have done exactly what is advertised. They're amazing.
I don't know if you saw these ones. So I have the variable broadhead system.
This is off.
No, by Ben when he was here, but I wasn't using these ones.
When you shot yours?
Yeah, I was using the other ones. But careful because
they're
probably pretty sharp. So
those look deadly.
Yeah, they look deadly. I'm sure they are. But those I forget what they're calling those ones.
I've not shot the broadheads by Vector. I've just shot their arrows for 5 years, and I will never go to any other.
But people talk about systems, so you consider your mobile setup as a system potentially, or you're trying to systematize as much as possible. Going with Vector, everything's a system. It all works together in concert. And so if you go with their broadheads and their arrows and their, what do you want to call that? The sleeve.
Their inserts.
Either inserts.
Outserts.
Insert, outsert. Now it's all kind of comprised as one unit.
They have a way better system now.
It's come a long way. even in the short time they've been around. So anyway, check those guys out. By the way, OHP, the code OHP will get you some percentage off on everybody we're talking about here, including Latitude Outdoors, our other partner here, which I'm excited to see what they're coming out with next year. We had them on the podcast just like a month or
maybe 2
month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Everyone's working on new product development and bringing new things to market, and they couldn't talk a whole lot about some of that stuff, but they talked about enough. And I actually can't remember what they didn't talk about on air versus what they talked about with me on the phone. So I'm just not going to talk about any of it because I'm nervous. I'll say the wrong thing. But just keep an eye on their stuff. It's great. I love their saddle. I think you killed out of their saddle.
Yeah, killed the doe this year out of the saddle.
The buck great. I got, this guy on the table was out of the saddle, which was just freaking cool, man. It felt great. It really did. I was so impressed with how easy that felt to do. It didn't feel out of place at all. Like, it was very natural.
Is this your second season hunting from that?
Second season hunting from it, yeah.
Because I know right off the bat, when you and I hunted opening weekend, you were saying, I feel so much more comfortable in my system, like how I do things. And it makes a huge difference when you have confidence.
Yeah. And even the hunt one, there was a couple bugs to work out, but nothing too crazy. The only thing I left on the ground was my GoPro, which I didn't mind. I was like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
But
going for that new skyward angle.
Yeah. And then Go Wild. I think I saw you post a whole bunch of trophies over there.
Well,
to get
I decided
yourself caught
it's time
up.
for me to actually get caught up on there. I've been on there with like nothing for like a year, and I was like, I was like, had some downtime one day, start posting pictures.
It's pretty cool because you post like the distance you shot it, where you shot it, like what'd you use, like all of the stuff. And so they're probably like doing some data collection there, perhaps. But then
the body length, I've never seen that. Yeah. I've never thought about that, but I was like, hey, that's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I should start measuring.
Yeah, it is interesting. So between them and Vector's doing something called datakills.com. You can go there and check that out too.
I still got to do that too.
Which is just a neat thing. It's very about how the arrow flew and penetrated and so forth. But yeah, I think that's all we got for that. And you can use our code over there too because you can buy stuff on Go Wild just as much as you can banter and hang tight and have fun and meet some cool people. You can do the nearby feature and see what's going on around you. So when morel mushrooms pop off in a few months, or if the ice bite is good, if you're in the Midwest or whatever, kind of see what's going on. Otherwise, how's your Christmas?
Good. I mean, it was actually like the least busy, most relaxing, enjoyable holiday. We just went up to my parents' house in Green Bay.
Yeah.
My in-laws. So my wife and I are both only children. So no other sisters, brothers to battle with or fight with. So it was like her in-laws were invited over. So everybody got together the Christmas day.
Mm-hmm.
We had hors d'oeuvres and my mom made a big lasagna and we all stayed up and played cards after the kids went to bed. And it was just like small, but chill, like relaxing. It was good. It was good.
Envious of that. Mine
I bet you yours was wild.
A little, not too bad, but it was, it felt like a lot.
Taxing.
Yeah, we might do things a little different next year. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I don't know. It was good though. No, the kids are happy. It was all the good type of chaos and stress that you can hope for. But happy to be back down here in the studio. I have a whole bunch of different bourbon to try. You brought some over. I put a Facebook post out and I get all this bourbon sent to me, which is exciting.
Yeah, our buddy Ben Walchek, who I was just hanging out with last night talking deer stories, had that one for you. So we brought her down. And I think everybody, after my post, just thought it was like this crazy pyramid scheme. But I was like, dang, guys.
It kind of is a pyramid scheme, but it is legit.
Just buy each other. We buy one bottle of bourbon. This is cool.
I thought it was cool. So far, I've gotten 3. So
I got one
3 more than I would have had. But we got a guest on with us tonight. We'll bring you in here. Joe, thanks for hanging out in the sidebar while we chew the fat. Is that what I want to say? Yeah.
No problem, guys. I'm really jealous that you guys are sitting there drinking whiskey and I'm not. But other than that, I mean, this should be fun.
Maybe we should have had you go grab some bourbon real quick then. Sorry, bud.
Well, with the move going on, I don't even have any bourbon in this house, so that's an issue for me.
Grandpa and Grandma don't have any blackberry brandy up there?
No, they don't. And I mean, I guess they might in their main house, but this is the little ranch house on the other side of their farm. So I'm sitting here alone with no booze. So I'm jealous of you guys right now.
Yeah, we're excited to have some. Calder says, "Good evening, fellas." Well, thanks for joining us. I thought, I work with your wife, not like virtually because you guys are in Montana and I'm in Wisconsin, obviously. But I was just out there, and by the way, you have a really badass truck, I must say. That thing getting picked up in the airport in that rowdy ride was pretty cool, man. That felt very Montana in a snowstorm.
Good. Well, I'm glad you liked it. I did a lot of work on that thing to get it where it is. So it's a fun truck. It definitely gets me down the road to where I need to be to go hunting. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet, man. The freaking tires on the thing. You got a deck system, or maybe it's not decked literally, but some sort of decking in there, and all sorts of. It was cool. It was a big old Toyota
It is
Tundra.
decked. It's decked.
All right. Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
misspeak in case it's the wrong type, but yeah, dude, tell us
No,
a
you're
little bit
good.
about what you do, and obviously you're in Montana, but maybe where you're from and kind of how that all came to be, and then I'd love to just talk backcountry stuff with you as we kind of get into it.
Yeah, man, definitely. So a little background of myself. Um, Unfortunately, I always say this, with a grain of salt. Like, take it with a grain of salt. Born in Southern California, but I always say you can't pick where you're born. Um, so so that's where I was born, but family, moved out of there as quick as I can. Went to school at Boise State in Idaho. And got my degree in journalism, which kind of landed me where I am now. I'm the managing editor at Petersen's hunting magazine. Do several various other publications under my managing role. So I do Backcountry Hunter, Wheels of Field magazine, Precision Hunter, and then we have a new one coming out, which I can't mention yet, but it'll be pretty darn cool.
Are those all under the Peterson umbrella?
Yeah, so pretty much under the Peterson's umbrella, there are special interest publications that go out a couple times a year, and we're all owned by the same company, which is Outdoor Sportsman's Group, which owns the Outdoor Channel, Sportsman Channel, things like that. So
Very cool.
Commonly referred to as
yeah,
OSG. If I'm talking industry stuff, right? That's you get featured in
yep,
OSG.
OSG,
Yeah.
yeah,
You done with OSG?
You done with
You
OSG?
know
Yeah, you
me.
know me. Well,
Sorry.
yeah,
we know Joe.
but but no, so like going to school at Boise State kind of started me in my Western hunting experience. Growing up in Southern California, did a lot of bird hunting, not too much big game stuff. All the big game stuff I did was, in Idaho. So uh, when I went to Idaho and became a resident there, which I changed as quick as possible, I jumped on the bandwagon of, chasing elk with a bow and hunting mule deer with a bow and doing pretty much anything and everything I could in the backcountry. So that kind of spurred my interest and got me really just, entrapped in the sport. So that's where I'm
And
at now. And that's why I ended up in Montana, because we have great opportunity for all that.
I've not hunted Idaho personally, but from everything I've heard, like that's a tricky place to get your feet wet. I mean, that's some steep ass terrain, and I know they've got a fair amount of hunting pressure. So, like, what was your start of your big game hunting career? Like, what was your first hunt you went on? How did that all play out? How did you get into it?
So the first hunt that I went on in Idaho was actually a whitetail hunt up in the Panhandle area, and ended up killing a really nice whitetail. Killed he was a Scotia under 150, and I was
Wow.
12 years old, so I was spoiled for life. And but they act a little bit different, the whitetails in Idaho, than I'd say around where you guys are, because we were doing spot and stock stuff up in the hills rather than chasing them in trees and um, or sitting in trees waiting for a deer to walk by as you guys do. I'm not the most patient hunter on the planet, so I have a hard time sitting in a tree stander in a saddle like what you guys were talking about earlier, kind of speaking a different language than what I'm used to. But that was kind of my first experience in Idaho. And then when I moved there, really just dove in head first. Have always been big into archery, and archery elk was a thing that I wanted to do more than anything else. Right. So bought my over the counter tag for $18 or whatever it was in school, and was like, well, I'm going to go figure this out. Bought some calls, and they lived in my pickup truck as I drove around and whatnot, and learned how to call and went out chasing elk. And on my 8th day of elk hunting, I killed my first bull. So
Wow.
yeah,
How did
which
you like?
which was pretty
So that
lucky.
was your first one. Did you have any help, like, coring that thing up and packing it out, or how did that all go down on your first one? We're like, oh, now what do I do?
So got him on the ground, and I was used to gutting deer, which I never was exposed to the gutless method, which I wish I was um, beforehand, because it would have been very helpful, especially the way he fell. Like, he fell right down the mountain, talking about steep. I was in an old burn area, and he wedged 3 out of his 4 quarters underneath this downfall burnt tree.
No.
So it was a pain in the ass to try and get him in a position where he was guttable. And I had help, but I say that loosely, and I love my wife. We had just started dating, and she had never been hunting before, and she was like, "Well, I would love to spend some time with you and see what it's all about." And she was there the day I killed my first bull, and she didn't think anything was going to happen. And I had her hold a leg from time to time and stuff, but she had no idea what was going on. Um, and it actually got to the point. So my brother was going to school at Boise State as well. I ran to the top of the mountain. I killed him right about last light. So I got to the highest point I could find and got a bar cell service, called my brother, and I was like, "Hey, I need some help." And he was at a baseball game, and he said, "Send me your coordinates." So I texted him my coordinates, and he drove through the night, and we packed it out the next morning.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome,
I was
man.
able to get the guts out by about like midnight. So
So your fiance or girlfriend at the time, the wife to be, had really no idea what she was about to get into when she woke up that morning and just wanted to join
she
you for a hunt in the woods.
yeah, she had no idea. And we had actually been there for 2 days previous. And she was just like, "I don't know what we're doing. We're just hiking around the mountains with nothing happening." It was a pretty early season hunt, so the bugling wasn't going on too much. And she was just like, "This guy's insane. He just walks around with a bow, meandering through the woods, not knowing what he's doing and blowing on this stupid call that sounds really obnoxious." And then that evening, I just did a calling set, and this bull came walking in and stuck an arrow in him. And she was like, "Well, now what the hell do we do?"
Good. That's a pretty legitimate question.
Yeah.
Now the works are, dude. So tell me a little bit about the gutless method, because I don't know what that is. Are you talking about just like quartering it up?
Take all the meat off, right? Without ever
Yeah.
opening that internal cavity.
How do you do that? Like, I don't know. Walk me through that a little bit. I'm curious.
Yeah, and
Selfishly.
I'm sorry about that, because I understand you guys just drag deer. You guys don't
Yeah.
do a
We're
lot
not
of
very
the quartering process. But
Yeah.
so
So you
so with
just
the gutless, man, like you just start cutting into them pretty much. What I do personally, animals laying on its side, right? You cut a line right up the back, right up the spine, start pulling the hide off, and then just start pulling quarters off, and you never go into that body cavity. And so you pull your quarters on one side, back strap, and then at that point, once you have that back strap, you make a little tiny incision right behind that last rib, and then you basically just reach in and cut out the tenderloin. It's super simple,
ah,
and then you get all your meat off and no mess.
fascinating, dude. That's really interesting. Um, usually you get your gut pile and you take everything except for the guts. This way, it's like the total opposite. I it,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that would be fun to try.
I feel like the first time I would try that, if I did do that, I would totally forget to take the tenderloins. You know what I mean? Just because, like, visually, I'm like, if I see it, it's there. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. And someone would have to remind me, "Hey, you take that tenderloin out of there."
Yeah. Dude, you guys should try it. Next time you kill a deer out in the woods, instead of dragging it, I mean, it gets all your preliminary processing done right then and there, and it's way cleaner. And then you don't have to drag anything easier. It's way easier to carry quarters than it is to drag a buck.
I
Dragging
think that would
sucks.
be freaking cool to try. I just feel like I need someone to teach me the first thing I'm ever going to try something like, or the first time I do something. I need some sort of mentorship, like in person. And then once I have that, then I'm good. It's kind of like if you drive somewhere once, you kind of lock it in. Okay, I need to turn left here, turn right. Here's my landmarks. I know I'm going. I'm good. I just need to go there
Yeah.
once. And so if I were to do that, I feel like I would love to have someone be there to be like, "No, dumbass, you cut here. What are you doing?" Or whatever. Just kind of show me where to point the knife or whatever, kind of thing. So that's makes
Well,
sense when you're out in back.
I'll make you a deal. When you want to go hunting, we'll go hunting, and I'll teach you how to do it.
Well, there you go. I think that'd be great.
Deal.
Yeah, you want to go to Montana? Is it super expensive for out of state residents?
It can be a little pricey. I mean, it depends on what you're going for. I mean, if you do the deer elk combo, you're looking at like $1,000.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. Illinois is a $500 tag, right?
I think when we bought combo licenses when we went to Montana, but this was when I was in college years ago, and I think it was like already like $600 or $700 for the combo. But then you get mule deer. I think it's either deer.
That
Is
probably
that how
makes
it works by you, Joe? Is it the deer tag is good for either?
Yeah, so your general deer tag's good for whitetail or mule deer. I mean, whatever you want to shoot, but we don't get multiple buck tags. I really want Montana to do a general tag that's good for mule deer or whitetail, and then a whitetail specific tag. I think that would be pretty sweet because we have a lot of whitetails and a lot of good whitetails, and I'd love to shoot a mule deer and a whitetail every year.
that could make a lot of sense. I think I have a buddy in Wyoming, and he's like, dude, no one cares about whitetail here. Like, but they're big.
Dude, nobody
and they're
cares
great.
about whitetail in Montana either.
Yeah,
They just
and what
they
was
don't
funnest-
care.
driving around, it was harder to hunt whitetail than it was mule deer when we were where we were in Montana. We were like in the southern part by Dillon and hunting public stuff or private ranches that allowed people to hunt on them.
Mhm.
But it was like all the whitetails you saw were on the river bottom ground where there was agriculture. Like any little river bottom, there was whitetails running around everywhere. We saw so many deer, but all that stuff was private. You couldn't hunt it. So it was like the only deer we could hunt was the mule deer bouncing around the hills, up on the public stuff is what we saw in that area.
Well, I feel like if you
I
were
mean,
to
that's
go
what they
out,
do.
if I'm going to buy a tag to go and hunt there, I would probably want to maximize that time as much as I could. So I would want to get, an opportunity. Like, look, I guess we're not going to, be able to see an elk on this hunt for this week that I'm here, but you got the mule deer one, like go shoot that, if they're around. So then you don't come home empty handed.
Yeah.
So that seems logical to some degree.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I always love having, multiple tags in my pocket. It just makes it easier. And I mean, not easier, you have more tags to fill, but it opens up your options. So you have that opportunity. If you're having a hard time on elk, you could go chase mule deer. Or if you're having a hard time on mule deer and elk, pick up your bear tag and shoot a bear. We have a lot of bears too.
Just freaking go shoot a bear. Make it sound so simple. No big deal.
But that's the difference in like Western hunting. And you like alluded to this before, Joe, is like you don't like sitting around waiting in trees. Like neither do we. Like out west, you can just see like vast distances. So like there's elk over there. Oh, mule deer are down in this valley. Here, it's just freaking endless trees. Like you can't see anything. So you just gotta, you gotta hope and pray. But out west, man, having different tags and being like, oh, look over there. Yeah, we gotta traverse across, but like you can see so much more game and so much more country than you can in these terrible parts.
And are you what I tried to do, like the little bit of time I had in between kids tugging at me for, play with this present and that present and this present and that present. One of them was about like packing in with, horses or mules or what have you. And, or what was the other, what you talk about some other ones too, like other
llamas and goats.
Llamas. Yeah. And goats. I was like, there's a pack goat. Like what? But I guess like if it's going to carry some of your gear, like how many of those style hunts have you done? And how many do you do a year just in general? Not even the ones that you're packing in with an animal. I'm just
like how many hunts in general do I do a year? Is that including my work hunts where I travel for hunts?
Yeah, don't get yourself in trouble with the wife or anything. But
yeah, I'm counting in my head. I'm like, I need to say an appropriate number and not tell her everything. But no, I do. I'm pretty much out every weekend in Montana that I'm home. And extended stays in Montana, I'll do 2, maybe 3 a year, where I stay out for 4+ days. But then as far as work travels go, I'll probably do maximum like 6 hunts a year, where I travel to different states and go on different hunts. Like this year I did Alaska, New Mexico, Wyoming, and then Kentucky, which was my first traditional sit in a tree for a whitetail hunt, which I saw 4 deer the whole time, so I never want to do it again. But yeah, and then I went to Arkansas for a duck hunt just a couple weeks ago. But yeah, as far as Montana goes, like most of the time, so I own horses. I own 2 horses, and I pack in with them as frequent as I can. And I love hunting with stock more than anything else. And I usually go the horse route because I'm a big believer of if I'm going to take care of stock and buy a trailer and take them out there, it's like that damn thing better be able to carry me too. Which llamas are great. They're really easy to get along with. They're easy for people to use that aren't familiar with stock. Personally, I don't like them just because they can't carry as much. They can't carry it as long. But as far as the horses go, I'll take them out as much as I can. Anytime I'm going into a place that requires to get a little bit deeper, I'd prefer having the horses. I definitely don't mind carrying a bunch of weight on my back. I'm the guy that all my buddies call for the pack out, and I love doing it. Love carrying the weight, but I'd much rather have the horses do it if I can.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Like, why? Yeah, why wouldn't you? But then you got to feed and take care of horses, year round to some degree, or have them boarded or whatever you do with them. I don't know. But is there any concern? Like, I think in the article that I read, it was like, hey, it's nice to have the companionship of this animal. In addition to that, like they might have better senses than us to be weary of predation if they're nearby and you're not aware, they'll be aware before you are. But then is there concern that like the predation, like a bear would want to take down the horse? Or if you're like, how does
not
that?
so much.
Okay.
Like, I can't remember the exact statistic, but a lot of people say, or what I've read in the past, like there's never been an attack on a group with horses, like a really like spurred attack. Like, the bears oftentimes will realize that that's a pretty big critter and, they'll get messed up. So I'm never really concerned about that. With the llamas, maybe more so. They could be probably seen as a prey animal, but one of the horses I bought her from a good buddy. She's a 3/4 draft, quarter Arab mix, and she is a feisty little bugger. I remember I packed in with him into a spot that's thick as thieves with grizzly bears. And every night we had bears walking around camp. We had a boar circle us 3 times. We had a sow with 2 cubs walk straight through camp. We had a different boar walk through the electric fence and just keep going. Didn't care at all. And she's the type of horse that, meets him head first and wants to fight him, just, scare him off. And that buddy who I bought the horses from, he had experience with her where while on her back, she would chase grizzly bears down the trail and chase them off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, that was my
concern. So she's my bear defense.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Not necessarily that the bears would attack them, but I know horses in Wisconsin who are even like fenced in big areas, right? Like their pastures and whatnot, but they will smell bear or see a bear and they'll freak out, right? They're running, they're freaking out and that would scare the crap out of me going into an area that has a lot of bears. I would be wondering, like, riding this horse.
Is it going to get spooked?
Is it going to smell a bear and like just, am I going to fall down this freaking cliff? Like, what's going to happen here? Has anything like that ever happened to you?
Not to me personally, but I do know people that have had stuff like that happen. Bears can definitely spook horses, and if a horse isn't familiar with the smell or with the area, yeah, they'll get pretty spooked. But that's one of the biggest things with hunting with stock. You need to know the animal, like you need to be comfortable, especially if you're riding them. Walking them in, I'd much rather deal with a horse losing its mind on a trail when I'm on the ground. Rather than being on its back, because one bad step, down goes the horse and down go you with it, especially in that steep country like we've been talking about. It could land you in a really bad situation. But the worst stories I've ever heard about blow ups in the backcountry and people getting hurt and horses getting hurt and stuff like that come from bees. A horse gets stung by a bee and they lose their mind, start bucking full on rodeo on the trail, running through rivers, falling down mountains. Yeah. Bees cause big problems for people hunting on horses.
That's crazy. I could see that happening though, now that you say it.
I wouldn't have thought of that, but that makes sense.
It's shocking.
I'm going to do all those things too. I'm gonna buck rivers and fall down mountains. It would be ugly.
Yeah. If I get stung in the ass and I'm on a horse, I'm bucking that horse off me here.
One of our guests a while back, Levi with Pull and Feathers podcast. He's in Wyoming, and he told a story of them going into the backcountry with horses. They rented horses from someone, small town. I guess everyone knows, who this horse is, or which horse it was, but I guess it was kind of sick. Like it had like, not like a cold, but it wasn't like sick, like dying. It just was sick. And it rolled over onto its back. Like it had like a problem with its belly or something like that. It was having some issues, and it like rolled down the mountain, and all their gear went with it. And he like was telling the story. It's like, on our horse on the mountain. He just keeps going because he was gonna get to this other part. I was like, well, you need to back up there. There's a whole different story about this horse falling down the side of a mountain. Let's talk about that for a minute. And he said there was like some other guide behind them that was a legitimate guide, knew what he was doing. And I was like, you need to kill that horse. You need to go put out its misery and kill it. And they're like, we're not going to kill that horse. I'm not buying a horse. We're going to take it back. They dragged it out. And I guess that horse is still alive today. And people in Wyoming like know the horse. Like that's Betsy or whatever the hell her name is. I don't know. But I'm like, that's a whole different category of hunt. When I tell my wife I'm trying to like go hunt out west, she's like, I heard that episode. I hear all these guys
She's
talk
like,
about
no,
bear.
you're not doing it.
She's like, you're a dad. You got 3 kids. You can't just go into bear country with horses falling down mountains and getting stung by bees. Like, what are you talking about? I gotta be careful with these podcasts, man. My wife's not gonna let me do shit.
Yeah, you do have to be careful with the podcasts and the wives because they listen. They listen very carefully too.
Yeah, every now and again they'll probably watch. So my wife takes our kids to the grandparents' house, which is like a block away, and every now and again I'll hear that they put it up on YouTube. Like they could be watching right now, and I have no idea. So anyway, if you're watching,
yeah, my wife's probably watching too.
Yeah, she's probably like, I hope neither of you mess this up.
Yeah, she's critiquing both of us right now.
Like, can I talk to Joe?
No pressure. No pressure.
Oh man! So, like, how many stories? We'll just keep shifting gears. I'm just all over the place.
I got one more question for him based off the last story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Joe, you mentioned the electric fence. How often do you use that? Are you using that every time you go to the backcountry? Do you put it around like your meat or your downed animal? How are you using it, and like when are you using it?
It's just to keep the horses in. It's not used for bear defense or anything like that. We don't put it around camp. The only time I've ever used a bear fence for what they're used for is when it was required on a Smith River trip. So we just put it around our cook areas on the Smith River, which is just, they're worried about black bears getting into camps and stuff. But no, as far as the electric fence goes, in the backcountry, it's like I'll take in some wire and a portable solar panel to charge it, and that's just to keep the horses in, so we don't have to hobble them or highline them.
Nice,
fascinating.
Yeah.
The one thing you talked about was like it could be like llamas or goats coming back with you. I feel like if someone brought in a pack goat, you're just cutting in like a bear snack.
Pretty much.
Like,
fun
I
size.
feel like if I'm gonna go with a guy and they brought a goat, I'd be like, no, I'm not going.
I saw Jurassic
Like,
Park.
no.
That's how this goes. Lake Placid. Basically any movie with a big animal, they're bringing goats.
It's getting eaten by something.
Things just tied up to a rope, just waiting to be eaten. No
Pretty
thanks.
much.
Or maybe
The
that's
cool
like,
thing about goats, the kind of cool thing about goats, and the only thing about goats that's appealing to me is that they could really go anywhere. You know, if you're going on a sheep or mountain goat hunt, they could go up all those cliff faces and stuff like that. So that's kind of neat about them, but you need 80 of them to carry out a sheep because they're so tiny.
they seem like assholes. I mean, they have square eyes. It's just like a weird thing. I don't know. Goats freaking weird me out, man.
They're weird critters.
They seem weird. So, help me get the title right, because I'm gonna mess it up because I am the worst person with job titles. Like I don't even know what my title is. But like your chief editor chief, or something like that, where you're kind of
I'm the managing editor.
Managing editor. What does that mean? And how many other people's articles and stories are you editing on a regular basis?
Every story that goes out, I look at least 3 times.
That's a lot of pressure.
I have my boss. Oh yeah. I have my boss above me, who's the editor in chief. So that is a title. So you were doing good there.
Okay.
But so he's above me, and then it's just me and him, and we go back and forth through the process of the editorial process. And we both edit everything from start to finish as it comes in as a manuscript. And then we put it into the magazine every issue.
That's crazy. How, like, as those things come in, there's stories, like, are some of them pretty great where you're like, oh, I don't have to do much with this one. This one's pretty good. Like, how much liberty are you taking to doctor up someone's story? Like, is it like Hollywood where if I come to someone and pitch a movie idea and they're like, we're going to add this whole other scene that never happened, you know?
Yeah, we don't do any of that. We try and keep it, super, similar. We never want to change the author's voice because obviously we're having them write it for a purpose, Their expertise is leading the audience in whatever direction that they need to be led in. Basically, like, our editing job is to make sure that it's coherent, it's digestible, it's grammatically correct, and it's clean. So we don't change a whole lot. We definitely don't add anything. I guess we do change a lot just to make sure that it's easy to digest, make sure that it's readable, but we don't add anything, and no, we won't add a whole scene that didn't happen because
okay. Yeah, I didn't assume that was the case. I was trying to illustrate the point there, but I had one of the we have a few freelance writers that write for OKS Hunter in some small capacity, and one of them, I believe it was PJ Delhomme, wrote one about like how to write a story that doesn't suck, because he's been at this for like 20 years. And it was similar to what I described with the story about the horse flying on the mountain. Like, they were just going to skate right past that as if it were no big deal, because to them it wasn't, because that's like commonplace apparently to have horses flying down mountains. But to someone like me, I'm like, there's a whole story right there. Let's talk about that. Let's pull that thread. And I think the example he gave was like someone said their mom came out to help them like pack out an elk. And he's like, well, hold on a second. Let's talk about your mom for a minute here. The hell's your mom doing helping you pack out an elk? And that was the story, rather than like, oh, we hunted this area, we stalked the animal, we killed it. Like, we've all heard that story 1,000 times. So what to you in your eyes makes something like a story unique, or something that would like make the article or make the magazine?
Oh man, it has to be original, there has to be a good story there. Cause like you said, we've all heard those "I killed my first deer" stories billions of times. We don't need any more of that. We need, the aspirational stuff. We need good adventure. And we need stuff that, people could learn from, like a completely different point of view on a certain topic. So like we really search for that stuff. We need experts in their field that, know a subject, front to back, cover to cover, and as far as like a good story goes, like there just has to be some climactic issue in that story to really make people want to read it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the part that when people are like, oh, Eric, share your favorite hunting story. Or I'm like, oh, God, I don't know. Do I have one? Like, what? I don't know.
But to toot your horn a little bit, based on like what Joe just said, right? It has to be something different, something new, something original, something someone can learn from. That's what you've done with your whole brand with OKS Hunter. Is like, well, no, you're so used to hearing people say, oh, I did everything right. I did this. I got the buck. Like, we've heard that a million times. You took a totally new aspect, and it's like, here's what I totally botched. Like,
every time
I messed. But people can learn from that, right? And it's like a cool look on it.
Sure,
like, that's what you've done.
No, thanks, cool. Derek. Good, appreciate that. There's definitely lots of learning and teachable moments, or moments that'll piss you off in the moment, and that you can later look back on and have a good laugh about, which are most of those things. Because as time progresses, you start to realize like how like the importance and weight of things aren't as heavy as we seem in the moment. Like
the "Don't forget your release" sticker.
Yeah, that
is the absolute best.
It's a popular sticker. Yeah, don't forget your release. That's a very common one. That's
man. That happens more often than not out west. I know a lot of people that have forgotten their releases on hunts, and
well, I was gonna say that'd be a bad one, because you're not just, I got to go back.
I got to go back 500 yards to my truck.
But when you're out west, you're like, oh shit, you'll build a new one.
6 miles from the truck on top of a mountain.
I'm gonna learn how to shoot fingers real quick. Give me a tube sock and.
We'll make it work. We'll figure it out somehow.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself in any like precarious predicaments? Now, remember, the wife might be listening, so pick your poison here. But there've been some teachable moments that you've had, because you're hunting more than the average person, given that it's a bit of your career. 6 hunts, on the boss's dime, so to speak, that's more than the average hunter by and large. And that might be less than some other people that are industry, folks, but you're hunting way more than that if you count up all the personal ones you're doing in your backyard, so to speak. But like what types of like situations or like learning moments have you had even just in the last year in review, right? It's going to be 2023. Let's do a Joe's year in review. What have you learned?
Man. So in Alaska this year, hunting Sitka blacktail, I learned to take even, I doubled up on everything that I took 2 pairs of boots, 2 sets of rain gear. I was like, I'm prepared. And then I realized that I need to prepare for other people as well. So bring 3-4 sets of gear for everybody. But no, it's, that one was pretty easy. Nothing like too crazy happened on that one. The biggest learning experience I had this year was I packed a wall tent camp in for me, my wife, and a good friend of mine and his wife. And we were going to just give it hell, opener of rifle season in Montana, going after elk. And we get in there, we're all happy. We packed in bottles of booze. We were like, hunting with horses is the best thing ever because we're living in luxury, 6 miles from the truck. The thing I learned on this trip was that wall tents suck, and Montana's opener of rifle is the worst time ever to be out in the woods because it's always shitty. There is always a storm, and it is going to give you hell. And opening day, that night, our wall tent collapsed at like 11:45 at night, and we found ourselves hiking out in the middle of the night through 2 feet of snow, and it was just absolutely miserable. So the thing I learned there was just don't go out and opener of rifle, because that happened pretty much every year, opener of rifle. I mean, 2 years ago, I got frostbite on my ears, opening weekend of rifle, packing out some elk for a buddy. And it was, it's a miserable time to be in the woods. So that's my biggest learning experience, is I'm never hunting opening weekend of rifle in Montana ever again.
I don't know, man. You say that now and you just forget, like those things just kind of get blacked out and you're like, no, I'm going to go out for the opener and it happens again.
Where's that wall tent?
Like every season I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do early season. That shit's miserable. There's too many mosquitoes. I don't see anything. There's too much greenery. Like, what am I doing? I'm sweating. And then lo and behold, this season comes around. I get all damn excited and jacked up that it's here. I've waited all year. And then I go and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I hate this. What torture. Am I doing? I wouldn't do this again, you idiot.
That's exactly what
I'll definitely be back out next year. There's no question about it. I already know. It's like I embrace the suck, as they say. So I can't not do it. So I'll be out next year, whether it's with my tag or with friends. It always happens.
But that's just it, man. Out where you're at in the quote unquote backcountry, even 6 miles from a truck, where you're at is very different than where we're at. We're not getting 2 feet of snow ever. Like, I don't remember the last year that ever even happened. I don't know, Derek. Do you remember when we got 2 feet of snow? Like, I think up north where you're at, where your cabin is, it'll accumulate to that, but you're not getting dumped on.
Not in one storm.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't move like that.
And up there's treacherous. You can get turned around. There is predation. I'd be a little weary of it. I don't think it's a big deal, but more so you can just get lost. And when it's like super, super cold and you're out there for extended hours, like shit could get weird. I just think it could get a lot faster out west than it can here.
Everything's a lot more extreme.
I just watched 1883 and it's like the Oregon Trail, like literally
dysentery.
It's like watching it and people are just dying every couple of minutes. Just like that old game, like, oh, you fell out of your wagon, you're dead. Like that's what it feels like out there.
Dude, that just happens. I mean, like the opening day started, it was pretty nice. It was like a light drizzly rain, felt like fall. And we're like, oh, this is going to be a great hunt. And we all knew that there was a storm coming in that was supposed to be a bad storm. And like noon, it switched from rain to snow. And by that night, there was over a foot of snow on the ground.
That's wild.
So then, like, how do you prepare for like these unknown variables? I mean, I guess you can watch a weather forecast, but did you know that was going to happen?
Not to that extent. I mean, you could watch weather forecasts and you could kind of have an understanding of what you're going to experience. But man, there really isn't like a like I don't know. There's no equation for really making sure you have everything covered. The best thing to do is just always have kind of the basic gear with you. Um, even when I'm not camping, like if I'm going out for a day trip, like I'll always have a lightweight shelter. I'll always have a puffy jacket and pants to use as a sleeping bag if I need to stay warm. You plan for the contingencies. Like what do I do if I can't get out tonight? What do I do if I kill something at last light and I need to sleep out here? Do I have my fire starting kit? Do I have enough water? Do I have a water filter? Do I have I don't know, my puffy gear? Do I have rain gear in case a storm blows in out of nowhere, which is very, very common. Those mountains where we're hunting, like, it's very common to have nothing on the radar, no weather forecast. And then all of a sudden, there's a massive thunderstorm rolling in, lightning striking everywhere. You're getting dumped on with hail and rain, and it can turn nasty pretty quick, but it can also turn nice really quick. So the saying in Montana is if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes, it'll change.
I feel like we have that saying here too, but I feel like it doesn't apply anymore.
Not in this conversation.
No, certainly not in this
that
conversation.
works with the cashier at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, welcome to Wisconsin. Stay 5 minutes and whatever. But like that's bullshit because in the Midwest, like when a storm system blows through, like it's gonna be here for a while. Midwest storms move slow. It's just gonna be overcast. You go to like Florida and it'll rain hard and heavy, and then 20 minutes later it'll be dry like it never happened.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. So I don't know why people say that in Wisconsin. It's not a applicable saying if you ask me. I had another question lined up with all that.
So as far as like planning for contingencies, a buddy of mine had a mountain goat tag last year, and I went out and hunted it with him, and we were hunting on a storm front as usual because we're always hunting on storm fronts because that's just typical Montana. And but we planned, so we did 26 miles in one day of hiking and chased down a goat that we really wanted to kill, or that he wanted to kill. And we did it as light as possible, but we took one lightweight Stone Glacier shelter, a pair of puffy pants and a puffy and fire starter and a water filter. Like we didn't carry any water. We carried, cereal bars and Cliff bars and things like that for food. But we were fully planning on staying at over 10,000 feet of elevation through the night because we figured we would kill that goat at that last light as it moved out of the cliffy areas and moved into some more open, meadowy, high country stuff to feed. So we were like, well, if we kill this thing, we're staying up there. And like, we even looked at each other. It's like, we'll be cuddling to stay warm, but we'll make it. It'll be fine.
We'll be cuddling to stay warm.
No words were spoken, but your eyes said that all.
No words were spoken. Yeah. Isn't like people communicate like 90% is nonverbal. So we're cuddling, right? Yeah. What'd you say?
Yeah,
say something?
Yeah.
No. What?
You shut your mouth.
You shut
You're
your mouth.
talking to me.
Okay, go comatose for me so I can cuddle with you.
So how did that work out? How did the hunt work out?
So we ended up not killing that goat. We ran off the mountain at, right at dark. We got back out. We went into town to regroup and then went in on a different side of the mountain and went back up there, and he killed a really nice goat. So killed a stud goat, like 9 3/4 inch Billy. So it was really good Billy.
You got to have a lot of meat in your freezer at home, man, from the sounds of it, with that many hunt trips that you're doing.
Yeah, got a little bit. Enough to buy a new freezer this year. So,
there you go. There are a shortage of those during the COVID era, because I
had to buy one during the COVID era. It was awful. I went to so many different stores, called so many people, and then I ended up buying like a stand-up freezer for like $1,500 because that was the only thing I could find.
Yeah, guys, people were selling them on Facebook Marketplace when there was that shortage. You could get like a chest freezer that was 10 years old, and they were selling them for like $900 or something because everybody needed one.
My 10-year-old chest freezer, this is funny. We bought this house, it came with one, and they're like, you can just have that. And it never worked. But I didn't realize that until like we moved in. And so it just sat in the basement, and then our refrigerator went out, and we have a warranty. We keep extending.
Your home warranty.
And I was like, hey, our fridge went out, and so did our chest freezer. we got a brand new giant chest freezer on the warranty for free. And but then I think it took 9 months to get it because there weren't any anywhere. And I was like, well, whatever. Like I didn't need it anyways because I wasn't using it until it came. And now we have this beautiful chest freezer that's brand new.
We gotta fill that thing up. Let's go hunt for a doe tomorrow.
Right. Greg keeps killing them. I got that meat freezer sticker on that damn thing. That's pretty cool. Anyway, do you have Joe? Do you have like? Are you familiar with like what I guess you could understand here, but like an okayest moment? Do you have like a couple of those that you're willing to share and self-deprecate here to bring the plane in for landing?
Dude, I have lots of okayest moments. I always consider myself mediocrely average at hunting. I
Nice.
wish I thought of okayest before you did because it rolls off the tongue way better. But oh man, let's see which ones are the good ones, and I'm totally fine with talking about how bad I am at stuff. So,
We think we know your next story.
man, I think one of the worst ones. I was on an elk hunt here in Montana, an archery elk hunt, and I was hunting with a buddy, and I have this bull coming in, and this was one of the moments where I tell myself I'll never let anybody range for me. I have to range myself. And I had done, all the things, right? Done everything, ranged the different trees along my shooting lane and everything. And I knew my distances, but I was like, hey, what's the range? And he calls out like 62. And I look at the elk and I was like, man, I'm pretty sure he's like 40. And he's like 62. And I pull back, shoot for 60, and just send this arrow just sailing way over its back. I mean, just like 2 feet over its back. And, the bull runs off. And I was just like, man, I knew that was closer. And he looks at me after the fact and just goes, yeah, man, it was not 62. I didn't hit the elk. I ranged way past it. I don't know what happened. Like, I'm really sorry. But, I just send this arrow sailing way over this elk's back. And I was just like, I knew the range. I knew where he was standing along my shooting lane. And I was just like, yeah, 62, that sounds right. Like, let's send it. And there goes the arrow just sailing off into the abyss. It's probably still in orbit for all I know.
Still orbit. What's that movie with Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis, like where they're dating or something, and he can't do math. Like he's actually terrible at math. And he looks at this fence. He's like, that fence is like 2 of me. I'm 6 foot, so that must be 18 feet. And he's like, well, that can't be right. I feel like, well, that can't be right.
That would be the perfect.
And she's like, wow, you're really bad at math.
That's 62 minus carry the 3.
Yeah. That's me. Every time I try to do math, for the record, it looks like I'm passing a kidney stone. It's not pleasant. But no, that's laughable now. In the moment, you're like, shit, the heck happened there?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, looking back on it, I just laugh. Just every time I think about it, I'm just like, never doing that stupid thing again. But no, I think one of my okayest moments, it's like, dude, every time I go out, like with a rifle, it's like, I'd bet money that I'm going to miss the first shot. Like it's absolutely hilarious. Like I went on an antelope hunt. I went on this antelope hunt in eastern Montana, and I got on this nice buck, and it was like 160 yards. And I lay down on him, and I pull the trigger, and I have no idea where that bullet went. I mean, just, it's probably still in orbit too. But then he gets up, and he starts trotting off, and I whistle at him, and then shoot him, and he's stone dead. But it's just like, it's one of those things like, man, when I go to take the first shot with a rifle, like, man, I don't know. It must be buck fever or something. I just get too excited, get too amped up about
like shot panic, maybe,
that's pretty commonplace here in Wisconsin. Rifle with shotgun, like you just send one shot to get him going. Get that sportsman, like you just, hey, I'm
get him going,
boom, and then the second shot's where you really dial in.
Give it him. Here's your warning shot. You better run.
You better get out of here, man.
100%, dude. That's just the way it goes.
Well, I can I share okayest moment?
Oh,
I don't think I've shared this with you yet.
No, let's hear it, man. I'll put you on the camera.
My only late season hunt I did this year, and you're not dealing with climbing sticks and tree stands here, Joe, but this is what we're dealing with here. I'm up at the cabin, northeastern Wisconsin. Dad and I are going out to a spot that he had scouted.
Yeah.
I had a spot picked on the map, and I walk back through there, and it's snow on the ground, and I find this tree, and I get to my base of my tree, and of course it's late season, so I'm taking all my different clothes and a different pack. I'm like, I didn't bring my pull-up rope. No big deal. I'll put the climbing sticks up, hang the stand, come back down, like grab the bow and put it. I'll figure out a way. So I get up there, climb up, get the bow. Everything's good to go. It's time to get down. See no deer. I'm like, I'm gonna go down in one trip. I got my rangefinder. So Joe had the rangefinder story. I had my rangefinder. I'm like, I'll just girth hitch. Just throw the rangefinder around through the loop on the top on the top of my bow. Throw it over my shoulder. Carry my bow down. Well, I must have been cold and tired. And I did not girth hitch it. Thought I did. I put my bow off to the side and I let go. And my bow just fell straight to the ground. I wasn't up super high, but I was like, wow, that was really stupid.
The moment you let go, did you realize that was going to happen?
No, I thought it was for sure going to hang there.
Like, when was the moment where you were like, oh, like midway in the air?
Bong!
So you didn't even see it happen, really?
I literally slung it over. Like,
hurts.
Went
like,
to like climb around the tree, let go, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, damn it.
That's
Holy idiot.
That's a pretty good one. I feel like I haven't had something like that just yet happen, but it's not far off, man. I don't want to talk about all the dumb shit I've done in the woods. Yeah. I had last year.
It's easy to do dumb stuff, man. It just happens. Just happens to us really, really easy. I had a really good moment actually in Alaska where I was packing the deer off of the mountain and everybody's slipping and sliding and on that wet Alaska soil. And I look back and I'm like, well, if you step like this, like it helps give you a little bit of purchase with each step. And as I was explaining it, I freaking hit a soft, slippery spot and I rolled about 80 feet down the hill. The deer skull went flying out of my pack. And I was like, don't do it like that. Just forget everything I said.
Just showing you what not to do, guys. How's that go again, John?
You guys are struggling. Thought I'd give you some comedic relief.
Yeah, just trying to help out. Just trying to give everybody a good laugh as I rolled down the mountain through Devil's Club.
So what do you have on the horizon for 23 as far as like, do you have any hunt trips planned? Do you have like any stories in the hopper, goals, things of that nature? What do we have to look forward to from you? Where can we, and like, where can we read your work specifically also?
So my work's on the website. It's in the magazines. I write in every publication that we do. Not every issue of Petersen's, just because we have a lot of freelancers that we put in there. But frequently I'll be in there. All my trips from this year, I'll be writing at some point during 23. So they'll be going up online and in the magazines and stuff. But as far as 23 goes, I have one really cool one that I'm really, really excited about. Well, actually, I have two that I'm really excited about. I'm heading to New Zealand in June to do some stag, tar, and chamois hunting, which I'm pretty darn excited about. That'll be a first for me. I haven't done a whole lot of international stuff, and I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. It just seems like such a cool country, and I'm really excited to get up in the high mountains chasing tar and chamois. Like, that'll be pretty darn sweet. So I'm really excited for that one. And then as September rolls around, I go back to Alaska doing a grizzly bear hunt. So that's definitely a bucket list hunt for me, and should be pretty darn cool going out of Kotzebue up in Alaska. So,
damn, dude.
Curious, what is the weapon of choice for both of those hunts? Have you decided?
So,
do you know?
Well, before you ask and before you answer, I don't have the comments on the screen, but I can see them. So I'm going to moderate this and bring one of them onto the screen. But Tony, who's a regular listener, he asked a question. He said, let me rephrase. What's your favorite elk caliber and heavy grizzly country? And then you can get Derek's question.
Ooh, so I mean, for a good elk caliber in general, I love anything 30 caliber. Personally, I'm really in love with that 300 PRC, and that's going to be a great bear defense gun too. Any grizzly issues you have, that'll definitely stop a grizz in its tracks, especially if you're using like a good heavy bullet monolithic coppers. That's a great one.
And what was your question, Derek?
Oh, for his upcoming hunts, the New Zealand, he's got the tar and the chamois, and then his
Stag.
Alaskan hunt for the grizzly bear. I was wondering just what weapon are you choosing? What are you using? Do you know? Is it up in the air? What are you thinking?
So they're both going to be rifle hunts. Personally, I would love to take a bow to both of them. I'm a big archery guy. I'd pick a bow over anything else anytime, and that's really my bucket list hunt is to hunt brown bear with a bow. I think that would be just absolutely the best thing I can do. My wife hates me for that, but I just can't help what I like. So. But they're both going to be rifle hunts. I think I'm going to take a 6.5 PRC to New Zealand for that hunt, and I'm not sure the caliber I'm going to take for the Alaska hunt yet.
Cool, man. I'm excited for you.
That is exciting. Are you going to be who's going with you on this stuff?
So for New Zealand, I'm going with Fiocchi. So I'm going to have a couple guys from Fiocchi that will be along for the ride. Well, they're taking me, so they're going to be running the show, and I'm going to be following along and hoping to film at least some of it. And then for the Alaska hunt, I'm going with Leopold and Browning with their PR guys there, and we're all going to go hunt together. They're some good friends of mine, and we're going to do a 3-part video series on that bear hunt. So stay tuned for that one.
The rifle makes a lot more sense now that you mentioned the sponsors.
Yeah.
Good call. Well, thanks for hanging out with us on the podcast, man. It's good to meet you finally, kind of. We missed each other when I was in Montana for a couple. I was only there for like 2 or 3 days or something like that. It was a pretty short-lived trip. I think you were on a I think that's when you were in Alabama or something like that, or
Arkansas on that duck hunt. I think
that's one of the A's. Yeah.
But
we'll end the live broadcast, and I don't know. Is there anything else you want to leave us with here? I'm like rusty because I haven't done a podcast in like 2 weeks. Apparently, that's all it takes for me to get rusty around here. But
hey, dude, I get it. It happens when I don't do a podcast for a couple of weeks. It gets tough to stay in the groove. So, but no, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And if anybody has any questions about Western hunting, I mean, feel free to reach out anytime. Social channels, whatever.
Rock on.
Oh, and go read Petersen's hunting magazine because it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was waiting for, is the plug. There we go. Well, everybody that tuned in on live, yeah, you gotta. Thanks for tuning in. This will be in podcast land tonight, and we'll tag in everything and Petersen's and all that stuff. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want to stick around for just a minute here, we'll debrief, and everybody that tuned in, thanks.